Yeah.
I have gone down the wormhole of trying to figure out how J.K. Rowling is transphobic, and it's all very confusing to me. So I just
Right.
wanted to throw that out there. To me, she seems pretty reasonable. Do you feel like there's
She's
a
fine with
place?
Buck.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
great. Is there a place in the world for women who just want to have like biological women's groups? Is this necessary, or is this okay for like
Yes.
traditional women? I
Why
guess.
can't we
quote
have
unquote,
our
to-
own spaces, but they
That's
can't?
right.
They can, and we can too.
But they get attacked for it.
Yep.
So do we.
Well,
True.
That's-
So everyone
Yeah,
should
we
just
do.
chill the
Equal
fuck out.
opportunity.
And that goes back to not every lane is your lane.
that's right.
We're in the
Yeah.
trans women lane.
That's right.
That's a very specific thing.
Mhm.
They're in the women's lane.
Yeah.
And it's
We
like
can also be in the same lane too.
sometimes they intersect.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they
For sure.
100%
Oftentimes they
For sure.
intersect.
Oftentimes. Yeah.
For example, it's like, when I moved to LA, I grew up in a small town, Northern California, very different culture, obviously, moved to LA. And like, I never thought catcalling was a real thing. And then you walk down Hollywood Boulevard and you can't walk down if you're a woman or a trans woman. You get hella comments, hella people yelling at you. And it's like, so I came to understand what women were talking about when they talked about catcalling being an issue and how it's dangerous, because the moment you don't talk to them, suddenly you're in danger because they're like, fuck you. It's
Mhm.
strange and you don't really know it's a thing until you experience it. So yes, our lanes intersect. But J.K. Rowling, she was talking about like just having women's only women's shelters because trans women were coming in and fucking raping women in these women's shelters. And it's like, why can't she express that without being canceled or being attacked?
Mhm.
It's like that doesn't take away anything from us.
Well, I think it upsets some people who also feel like, maybe there isn't a ton of shelter for like trans homeless people. And as you know, in the world of the home, you may know this.
A lot of them are LGBT.
There's a lot of LGBT homeless people.
Especially youth.
Yes. So I think that like, wow, whatever, I don't know. Like, I read Harry Potter. That's about it. But like, I guess I just feel like we could talk about that though. Like, what about the lack of housing for these like young kids who get pushed out of their
Well, that's
houses?
changing though. They are starting to make more places for LGBT youth and LGBT people who
And there are
need to have
unisex
rape centers.
shelters.
That's why it's important that we understand we need to have our own space as well, not just cisgender people, but we do. We're more comfortable in our own space at some. I don't think it's also comfortable to go. I wouldn't want to go into a men's shelter. I honestly don't think I would be comfortable in there, nor do I want to go
I
to a
can
male
understand that.
prison.
And I just feel like that sounds like an important issue, but it doesn't seem like an issue that really has a lot to do with a billionaire basically
That's
having
right.
her entire career, and I can't say destroyed, but having all the actors from her films like have to take this
Ridiculous.
like
I hate
stand
that.
against her and all this shit.
Wait,
And then for me as a
J.K.
normal
Rowling.
person, I go look
Yeah.
into it and I'm like, she hasn't said anything
Nothing.
remotely
The fact
controversial.
that-
And that
Nothing.
makes normal people look at the trans movement like, yo, this is some crazy mafia shit.
Right.
That's
But
right.
then Buck and I defend her and
That's
get
right.
fucking
Nailed.
reamed. And it's like, okay, but like you said, you had to search so hard to find what she said that was that bad. If you have to search that hard, it's probably not that fucking
That's
bad.
right.
If you have to go through Google page after Google page, what did she really say that really set everyone off? It's not that bad. She said biological sex is real, basically. That's
Yep.
it. Which is it? I would assume we all
I think
can say
people
it
got
is.
annoyed by it because it's like, okay, why are you
Well,
saying
annoyed's
that?
different than people standing outside her house taking pictures
That's
of her
right.
address, being like,
Well,
"Come kill this bitch." And
Yeah.
that's our people. That's trans activists, and we have to take accountability for that.
Yeah, we do.
And be like, no, we're not. We're gonna police that in our own community.
I
As
can
we're still
agree
trying to
that
come
like
up.
most of what she said wasn't so unreasonable, but she did like a lot of tweets that were outright calling us men, or in so many words. And I mean, maybe I guess you can say that there's some sort of plausible deniability with that because it's not her direct words, but she has liked tweets that are blatantly trans misogynistic.
And here's
Several.
why I'm not going to say that she gets a pass for that, because if you're liking ugly tweets, I haven't seen those tweets, so I couldn't judge if they're really that bad or not, to be honest. But it's like you got to think about sort of the resentment that builds in this woman who's just, whether she liked the tweets after or whatever, originally was just saying reasonable shit, and then gets people outside her house that are people like us, supposedly, threatening to kill her and the whole world coming down on her. I'd like a few ugly tweets too. I'd be like, yeah, they're all dudes. I don't give a fuck. I would fucking be mad too, And that's the thing also. It's like, I'm trans and, I have a trans YouTube channel and I
So you're a
make
dude.
her. No, but I will say that, sometimes I feel that resentment towards the community when I see an entire community silent about 12-year-olds having their breasts cut off or sort of the uglier things. I'm like, why isn't everyone going after me for having these common sense positions? And I have to check myself to not suddenly I would never be transphobic, but have a resentment towards the community, or walk into a conversation like this and feel like y'all are probably going to attack me, because I've been in so many rooms where it's frankly me versus like 10 of y'all, and I'm getting fucking beaten down, and it's like I can take it, but people build resentment, and that's society at whole right now, I think, because LGBT acceptance is going down statistically for the first time in like 20-30 years.
Definitely.
And
I definitely agree to that, because I mean, like how I didn't know that there was actually instances of 12-year-olds having double mastectomies. I guess that's being pushed down for whatever reason, because I mean, I try to keep abreast with trans issues, and there is that narrative that is just a right-wing talking point, but I guess that's because these instances aren't being brought to light or aren't being spoken about.
I really appreciate that you acknowledge that, because that is so much more than most people are willing to do. And I think what we have to understand is that in this digital age, we are so separated by algorithms.
Totally.
So I'm clued into probably more of a right-wing algorithm, although I try to follow people of all over the political spectrum. And so I'm going to see things that you don't, and you're going to see things that I don't. You might see uglier stuff about like the trans panic laws that I'm not as clued into. And I might see more stuff about like the kids stuff that you might not be clued into. So I think that I just want to commend you for being able to be like, my algorithm basically fucking lied to me and they never showed me this, you know, because that's part of the reason we're so divided, is we're all clued into different algorithms, unfortunately, in 2023.
Yo, we just hit 400,000 subscribers right here on the Clips channel. So if you want to help us out, click subscribe, get us to 500K. Yeah.